So here's a question. What if Captain America Civil War was actually good? Who am I kidding? Your question's going to be good.
I'm sure it'll be.
So the real question is, all right, so we know that Batman v Superman released. We now know that it's bombed. Well, I mean, it did well financially first weekend. We know it's taking a huge dip its second weekend. We know it's under tons and tons of critical review, deservingly so. And so I was just thinking, what if Batman v Superman was actually good? And all at once I started having this idea of, man, they could have just done this and this and this. And next thing I know, I had this whole story idea. And not that I'm trying to directly copy Belated Media's What If Star Wars.
Also, so I'm going to say I'm not really taking the lead on this one. This one's almost all from Hardware Hound. No, is all from Hardware Hound. My preface is that it's not, how would I write Batman versus Superman? Because if that were true, we would just say, well, just make it the Dark Knight Returns if you wanted to do it anyway.
Or Batman, Superman, World's Finest.
Yeah, specifically World's Finest. I mean, just, hey, how do I make Batman and Superman be in the same universe in a correct way? Take any DC animated film. But that's slanted. So this is the if people would accept input, I guess.
It's like, to me, I feel like this would have been a very easy movie to keep that dark, gritty tone without totally beating you into the face with it, while still maintaining the main highlights and plot points. There's just a few little reworks that would have made this a much better story and helped us relate to our characters more. And the thing that we keep coming back to is what makes a good movie is not whether it's dark or whether it's fun or whether it has a great supervillain or whether it has a one-and-done supervillain. What really seems to make a movie good is, does it have a good story and does it have good characters?
And having taken a look, it's at the rewrite. It's not that what was happening was necessarily wrong, just that if the characters acted like the characters we expect them to act like it would have turned out quite a bit different.
And I don't know that I'm going hardcore trying to turn the Superman to Batman into just the beloved Superman Batman that I love. Honestly, if that was the case, I would just make a live-action movie of Batman, Superman, World's Finest, because I just love that one. But
well, I guess not even just Batman and Superman, though. I mean, have characters act like full characters outside of your main cast.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing is
people written like people.
There's people talk about being grounded and dark and gritty and not so silly and stuff. Well, they seem to forget that one of the key aspects to grounding, biggest key aspect to grounding, is making sure your characters are realistic and relatable. And I get that. Well, it's a man who can fly, but some of the way that they act does not make any sense. So, I would say without further ado, what if Batman v Superman was actually good? We're going to call it Batman versus Superman to start out with.
The floor is yours.
All right, so first thing, we had this idea, Zack Snyder had this idea, he wanted to show Bruce Wayne seeing all the wanton destruction of Metropolis. Actually, I don't think that was a bad idea. In fact, I think that was a great idea. So I think we need to start with that still. And now, let me also preface, I have not had a chance to watch Batman vs. Superman. Where I live, I am not close to movie theater. I don't have the kind of time or finances to go see every movie.
So we haven't said it before, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, literally. So when it came to a choice of Batman v Superman or Civil War, there was no choice. It was going to be Civil War. More invested in the characters. So that being said, I've read every spoiler and stuff online because I just was really curious if Zack Snyder was going to disappoint. And yes or no, depends on what you expected. He didn't disappoint for me because I totally expected him to do what he did. But yeah, there's our Zack Snyder. Fun times with Zack. Belated Media people, if you haven't seen this guy, he's actually super good. Really good review of movies and has some great Zack Snyder reviews. But so I think the fact is we got this opening. Bruce Wayne is seeing Batman or Superman fighting Zod, and everything's just crumbling, and he's angry and he's mad. I think we missed though. I think Zack Snyder missed an opportunity to take two perspectives, two of them equally so. I think we need to see as much of Bruce Wayne's perspective as much as we saw Lex's perspective. And I think we can start showing a difference between these two characters immediately. Because while one man is seeing buildings coming down that are his own buildings and seeing the people that he cares for and loves dearly, who works for his enterprise, losing their lives, and is angry at the fact that there is somebody who is paying no regard to what's going on, it seems, in his eyes, we can have another guy looking at nothing but his power and financial stability being destroyed by somebody who doesn't care about him. And you can really show, I think, an initial reaction there because Bruce Wayne cares about his people where Lex cares about his buildings. I think that's the first thing that we're going to show, is we're going to show both of them. I think it's a great scene.
So if that happened to happen in the movie, I mean, go ahead and let us know.
Yes, in the comments. Yeah, because we didn't see it. I haven't read anything that really shows that, though. I don't know if it's just an assumption or anything, but it seems to be mostly just Batman's perspective of all that happening in Man of Steel. So, and I think we just need to end on a note. We need to show like something that's just like Daily Planet article or something that says, Superman saves the world, but at what cost? And I think this is really important because for the first time, we need to show that Superman's like, I don't know what I did here. I mean, I thought I was stopping that one guy, but this was bad. But this is a start, so hey, maybe he can recover from this, or maybe he can't. We got to find out.
Yeah, and not that he was blameless, just that like he understood that people died, but at a reasonable collateral damage kind of way, in the sort of like, but if I didn't stop him, there would be no Earth.
Yeah.
So
he's not totally.
He's reasonable about it.
He's not totally devastated, but it is in the back of his mind. He's like, you know what? Could I have done it better? But I don't know that I could have. And, who else is Superman? Who else is going to be the metric to judge by? So he has no reason to really think about it that hard. But it's a start. If we're going to show this idea of darkest before dawn, which I've read some people saying that, if you understand that aspect of this movie, that's what Zack Snyder's trying to go for, and which I don't think is a bad idea. We can start heading that direction. So we get done. Now let's go to current time. Batman's parents die. Skip. We do not see that again.
Yeah. And if you've seen like the Lego Batman trailer, really, what do you need? Here's a frame of some parents that you don't have to. You can assume that they're dead.
Well, we just saw a Dorkly article about it, and they went back to, of course, Batman the Animated Series. And Dick Grayson looks at Batman, Bruce Wayne, and he's like, you can't possibly know what it feels like. You're this stone cold emotional. Then he just stops. And Batman doesn't say a word. He's just looking at him. To which Robin says, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. We know his parents died right there. We remember. It's like, oh yeah. We didn't have to show it.
We can be subtle.
We can be subtle. So we're going to get back to current time, and we're going to have Lex Luthor. And the first thing I'm going to say is Lex Luthor cannot be crazy. And here's why. Here's the biggest reason why. A man who is crazy, who just wants to see the world burn, doesn't build a billionaire empire. That doesn't happen. No. Okay? The Joker made sense. We set up the premise of him being crazy because Michael Caine, Alfred, said some people just want to see the world burn. So we got that thought planted in our head. Then we see a guy who sews his own clothes, has just a few knives, burns money because he doesn't care about the established world. All he cares about is seeing everything in chaos. And somebody who wants to see everything in chaos can't really build stuff for himself that's nice and neat and orderly.
And really, I guess that's another point from World's Finest, is that the one thing that you really knew about, Lex and Bruce Wayne is that they care about their companies.
They both very much care about their companies, and they're on top of it. And in fact, Lex cares about his company so much that if a superpowered alien can bring down billions of dollars over in one short period, he wants to see that superpowered alien gone. And if that superpowered alien can even have a hint of maybe influencing any plan that he'd have for any kind of power or conquest, then that definitely needs to be put out of the way. Because a man like Lex is not going to just merely beat his competition, he's going to annihilate his competition. But he's also not going to let it known that's him. So I don't want to have too much politics in a movie. If the prequels taught us anything, politics need to be short and sweet. They can get us the point, but they need to be done. So we're going to have a little bit of politics in this, and we're going to have Lex talking with reporters, and he's going to be spearheading a movement that's saying, hey, we need to make sure that this Man of Steel guy is in check, and kind of generating a general buzz against Superman, creating controversy, so on and so forth. And more or less just for political purposes, probably just publicity stunts. But in talking about it, he's going to mention how, we can't let somebody have this much power. Now, here's where I think we get a really good opportunity
to act like a politician, for one.
Yeah. We get to show what kind of person Lex is. We get to start seeing that his motivation is not even necessarily selfless as much as it is selfish, in the fact that he doesn't like the idea that anybody can have more power than him because he's a super powerful business guy. At this point, though, it's Lois Lane, I think Amy Adams can be an excellent choice for Lois Lane. I don't know that she's being utilized to the best of her ability, because aside from being slightly nosy, she seems to miss a little bit of that spunk and pushiness that's so common of Lois Lane. And I feel like here's a great opportunity to have Lois Lane take it to Lex, hardball him, and say, hey, you're going to complain about being the most powerful people, but you're still like the most powerful billionaire in the world. Now, this is great because, this gives us an idea of Lois Lane isn't afraid of anybody. She will get up in anybody's face. And that's something we can respect about a reporter who's trying to get the scoop. At the same time, we can also set up another opportunity with this.
Well, and what I was saying was, it's one of those perfect opportunities if Lois is pushing with one of these questions like, well, you're super powerful too and can, and you have too much power and should be in check. It's just a very good opportunity for Lex to act like Lex and just be like, are you a reporter or a tabloid writer, Miss Lane?
Yeah, that is perfect. I think we could also even point out that we could maybe make a mention of, you've taken control of the wreck site of what's left over from the Zod ship, and you've let nobody else get into it. It's entirely your crew, your science. That seems kind of risky, don't you think? And then, yeah. I'm sorry, Miss Lane. Are you a reporter or are you a tabloid writer? Lex is cool. He's confident. Nobody ever rises.
Like, I have permission, intellectual properties,
yeah.
Any sort of, very...
Nothing comes back to Lex.
Right. Because he has it all worked out on paper why you can't touch Lex.
So at some point, I don't know, I wouldn't know exactly how I'd put this out in mind, but I think we can, as shortly after this, we can have a point where Lex was saying, now, we had an obligatory Jimmy Olsen mention in the Batman v Superman movie, where he was shot in the face by a terrorist, and Zack Snyder thought, that'd be fun. What a beloved character for anybody who's been invested in Superman for a while, shot in the face by a terrorist, done with him. Because we don't have time to put him in the movie. You don't have
time to put him in the movie, so don't put him in the movie.
You don't have to shoot him in the face. We could just do a nice little casual reference where we find out that Lex has got something going on where he's hired a terrorist group to kidnap a reporter for some reason. And he was originally going to take Jimmy Olsen because he thought he had him planned to be in a place at a time. But then he realizes that this Miss Lane has not only irritated him, and he feels like, I'll just get even with her because whatever, I can. Not even that he really cares that much.
Well,
but
you could even take it to a level of, she's an investigative reporter, and it's all like, I need somebody who's not going to dig deep enough.
Yeah.
To find out that I can hire terrorist organizations.
Or he may find out that I got somebody who's going to put her nose where it doesn't belong, which means she's going to be really easy to take advantage of bad positioning. So we don't even have to make it personal for Lex. We can just be like, this Lois Lane, she's going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. We're going to kill her. but this will work out for what I'm trying to do. So yeah, I mean, along any of those lines, we could make this work out. So Lex is going to start doing something, and we're going to start figuring out what it is. So now we can move on to Bruce Wayne. Now we're going to start getting to our Batman. And we're following up now on what's happened. And Alfred is basically telling Bruce, you don't need to be doing this anymore. And it starts to get very obvious that Bruce Wayne is about ready to put the cape back on. And Alfred doesn't like this. And I think the thing that we want to show with Alfred is that Bruce Wayne is the only family he has, and Alfred has entrusted himself to take care of Martha's, well, the Wayne's only son. Thomas and Martha Wayne. To take care of their only son. And that's been something that's shown throughout all of Batman's stuff. You know, Alfred's been the only guy that Batman can totally depend on. He's been Batman's right-hand man all the time. And I think we can showcase that. But Bruce is going to start questioning. He's like, look, this stuff happened, and then we're going to find out that Batman knows stuff. You know, he is Batman. He figures things out. So Batman looks at some of the various things going on and saying, hey, there's some people who are getting a hold of some kind of material, and it looks like they're going to be doing something dirty with it. So I'm going to go find out, because if it's in the wrong hands, then this could be really bad if they can take out the only man that could possibly stop them.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even have to be that. You can just assume that it's, radioactive and a threat. It doesn't have to be specifically Superman related. He could just assume that it's nuclear material or something to make something super powerful, something devastating.
We got Alfred trying to convince Bruce that, you hunt up your cow for a good reason. And I think the thing is, since we're going into this Jason Todd death, I think what we want to showcase here is that Batman has been the guy who protected people. And when he couldn't protect his own, that's when it was too much for him. And we're going to leave it at that. Because that leaves us a whole world of backstory and questions for the audience members to be like, whoa, Batman hunt up the cow? Now, granted, this is where we might say, okay, well, a real Batman would never do this. And we're going to readdress that to some extent. But there is some points where this has actually happened. I think the best case of it was Batman Beyond, where old man Batman starts having a heart attack, and he has to pick up a gun before he's killed. And he doesn't use it.
Batman doesn't do that.
Yeah.
He doesn't grab guns.
He doesn't grab guns ever. And
much less threaten people with them.
Yeah, and he retired at that point. That was pretty epic on that one. I think Batman Beyond did that great. But I think even just the fact that I don't think it's much of a stretch to say that if a Robin got killed under Batman's watch, Batman might be done. So
well, at least done hiring people.
And I think the biggest thing is that I want to bring this motivation back to the fact that Batman doesn't kill. And the fact that when his Robin died, that was the first time that Batman was ready to kill. And Batman can't kill. And the reason why he can't kill, and notoriously why he couldn't kill is, and the Joker knew this, is if he could get Batman to break that rule just once, then he knew he created a monster. And that was all the Joker wanted to do. Just ruin Batman so that he killed everyone. And he would have been happy with that.
Which, I mean, if you think about how it's currently set up, I mean, that's essentially what's happened. I mean, if that's supposing that that Zack Snyder, or Ben Affleck, if he does make a solo movie, would go back to say that he didn't kill up until this one point. And then all would sort of be forgiven in terms of that part,
and
I feel like.
That's something that, hardcore fans won't overlook, but it can be overlooked. Because if you're going to develop the character that way, if you're going to at least commit, sometimes that's okay. Because there is a bunch of people who don't know that Batman that well. And I'm not going to hold it against Zack Snyder for that.
Well, and Frank Miller.
Yeah. But I can't. We got way bigger problems than that. All right, so Batman is going to go for this shipment. And while he's going for it, he finds out that this shipment, or, going back to what Priest said, the reason why he's after shipments, he knew it was going to be stolen. He knows that this is a Lex thing. But it's going to be, he figured out it's going to be stolen. He's trying to figure out why it's going to be stolen and try to intercept the thieves in process. So he finds them. And here we get to have our awesome Batman scene. So Batman goes after the shipment. And I think it's really important to understand that he does not kill anyone. Not going to kill anybody. I'm going to stick firm by that with Batman because he can brutally beat the daylights out of people, but we're going to make it obvious that they don't get blown up in explosions. Now, I feel like we should still have some explosions.
Also, I don't mind the branding so much.
I don't either, actually.
I think that's like, hey, I mean, I very much doubt that prisoners would, kill a guy for having a bat brand because he screwed something up. If anything, it's all like, you've met the Batman?
Yeah, it's like, whoa, you met the Batman.
And you're not, like, completely paralyzed?
Like, honestly, if a bad guy warrants the Batman's attention, that's the guy that nobody in prison messes with. They're like,
yeah, that's like, whoa,
okay, you're serious stuff.
Like, you were worth Batman stopping.
Yeah, we're not touching you. You're obviously some serious crap here. So, Batman, he gets involved with this. He figures out what's going on. He finds a shipment, and he's about ready to get to it. And I think we can have some good, safe explosions, like some random things. In fact, I think it'd be cool to have an explosion where Batman sees that, oh crap, this thing's about ready to go off, and he grabs a guy and gets him out of there before the guy gets killed. And Batman takes care of business. And I love the fact that we had this awesome, brutal Ben Affleck being an awesome Batman scene. I love the fact that we had that. I can't wait to see more of it.
Yeah, I like that it just looked like one of the Arkham City, Arkham Knight kind of fights. That's the kind of brawl that Batman needs to have.
Yeah. But it's about the time before he said Superman's going to show up. And he's going to basically... Now, these guys haven't seen each other. So we need to establish something new that's happened. So one of the lines in the previous was, the Bat is dead. What? Really? You didn't even know the Bat was alive. The Bat was gone. As far as you know, the Bat's just pretty much a rumor to you. So I think we're going to...
nobody knows who Batman is.
Yeah.
People just hear rumors of Batman.
And if he's been out of the game for 20 years or something, then
certainly not Superman's going to know.
So he
Small
comes
town,
out,
country boy,
and he says, you know what? I remember hearing stories about this Batman, and I just thought they were crazy. And yet here you are. Superman looks around, he sees guys with terrorist guns, artillery taken out, but they're still living and breathing. So he realizes, okay, Batman isn't killing people, and he's not totally, but there was this explosion, this is really chaotic, I still don't like it in my town. So he tells Batman, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to let you off with a warning, basically, but if I ever catch you in my town again, I'm going to put an end to your career. But not in a I'm going to kill you way, just in a I'll expose you, you will not be able to be the secret of Batman anymore, and this will be over.
I mean, I wouldn't even mind if it was sort of like a respect thing, and he's just sort of like, I can handle my town.
Yeah. I think that's the point I'm going for is... I'm glad you said that, because that's the point. Superman doesn't want Batman with his vigilante style of justice coming into his town. Metropolis is Superman's game. Gotham's Batman's. Go back to Gotham. Batman tells Superman, when I get what I'm coming for, I'll be gone. Because Batman is already mad enough at Superman. He doesn't want to be around here. So Superman takes off because he hears about his distress thing. Because, superheroing, whatever. That's pretty easy to figure out if you hash it out long enough. And then Batman gets to the chest and finds a substance that is something new. So obviously Batman's going to have to do some research to find out what this stuff is.
Fancy bat computers and whatnot.
I like that idea. Let's show the side of Batman that's his smart side, not just his I just beat up people side. Yeah. So Superman is hearing something's going on, and when he shows up, he figures out that Lois Lane has been kidnapped by terrorists. Now here's where we start finding out that these terrorists are setting a trap for Superman. They're planning on killing him. Now that seems like a joke, but these terrorists got a tip from some anonymous source that they've got a substance that should be able to kill the Man of Steel. They got a tiny sample of it. They don't really know what to do with it. So they think that this will be great, but there was supposed to be a bigger shipment that was supposed to arrive. Oh, conveniently, now I get this. This is kind of, what is it? script saving or whatever, so a little bit. But I feel like if it's a good enough story, you got good enough characters, a lot of these things are easily overlooked. Conveniently enough, Batman is the one who intercepted that shipment that did not make it to the location. So Superman shows up, and of course he dispatches terrorists very easily. He's Superman. He's invincible. He's bulletproof. He takes care of it. The terrorists also don't really know what's going on, so they're keeping Lois as hostage, as leverage. So the last guy has this little shard of something that he's supposed to weaken or kill Superman, but he doesn't know what to do it, so he's kind of waving around. Like, he's not really sure what he's doing. He's just like, this thing's supposed to kill this guy, and all at once I'm the last guy standing. So now he's panicked.
I want to see something really lame from that then. I just want to see, like, he just, like, freaks out and then just throws the rock at him.
Which would be kind of funny. But I feel like he's going to hang on.
Something.
Yeah. Well, I feel like he's going to hang on to it because he feels like if he lets it go, he won't have any of that protection. And he's also going to have, Lois Lane in captive the gun to her head because he doesn't want Superman to react fast enough to, he's got to keep his leverage somehow. Superman's going to feel the kryptonite, but we watched him pile through those weakened states for a little while before he really started crashing. So he can handle us for a little bit. But he's feeling it. He's panicked because Lois might die. He overreacts, and he just, punches this guy through a wall. Uses super seed, just gets the guy before he can even pull the trigger, saves Lois, but in the process just totally murders this dude. Just killed him. I mean, I don't know if you call it murder. It's self-defense. But,
yeah. But if he, runs up and, tosses him or flies through a wall, and you're like, that dude, and then the whole building comes down on him or something.
Yeah, just something that
over the top. You're like, oh, that dude's super dead.
So that we see two things. First off, even in a weakened state, Superman doesn't really understand how strong he is. But now, for the first time, he really gets to understand that I, with my own hands, killed somebody. What did I just do?
Yeah, somebody who wasn't superpowered, who wasn't Zod.
Yeah, didn't have a chance even with a weakening thing. Superman realizes, I killed this guy with my own bare hands, not because I didn't have a choice. I wasn't trying to kill the guy, I just did. And of course, Lois Lane's going to try to explain to him, no, you had to.
No, that was a good thing. Yeah, that's fine.
This guy's a terrorist and that, and Superman's like, I just don't know if this is who I want to be. I don't know if I want to be the guy who can just kill somebody. Am I a judge? Am I a jury? Am I an executioner too? Is that really my right to make those judgment calls when I'm just in the middle of the action? When I'm in the middle of this circumstance? I don't know. But Lois is like, look, you saved my life. You're being too hard on yourself. Everybody's being too hard on you. Now, here's the key. We get to our anonymous person who supplied it, and we find out, of course, not like it's going to be a big reveal because there's no reason to keep the secret. That's Lex.
Yeah, it's oh no.
The key is going to be that the guy coming to Lex is freaked out. He's like, Mr. Luthor, these guys failed. And he's freaked out because, Lex Luthor is not the kind of guy you say, hey, this didn't work. Because he expects things to be done. To which he's going to get a completely weird response when Lex just smirks and says, it's all right. I really shouldn't have trusted that to that kind of group. But I think I might have a guy who might be able to do this much better. And we're going to see a video roll where Lex, we've got drones and cameras and all kinds of fun stuff nowadays. We're going to see a nice little video roll that Lex is watching of Superman crushing that guy through a wall or whatever. And Lex is just enjoying that. So, we get done. We got all that set up.
So basically, the camera roll is probably more like, this was more the thing that he wanted to happen. And the kryptonite was like a bonus?
Nope. I think the biggest key is that I think the other thing too is, and I forgot to mention, as Superman's on his way, somebody's going to mention and call us like the shipment didn't come. Call back to our contact. Let's find out if we need to keep doing this or not. Get a return. He says just to continue with the plan. So the terrorists think, okay, we're fine, even though we don't have the full shipment. Find out they're not fine. Find out the guy who's instigating this was Lex, of course. But then we go through and we realize Lex is like, I think this will still work because he saw the weakened state of Superman and he saw that he didn't take much. He said, I just need somebody who has the skill to accomplish this. To which, because here's the other thing about Lex, he always has plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K.
He has whatever happens, he has I'm walking out of the building and nobody's touching me.
Always. So if plan A fails, plan B is going to be fine. And so that's the other key. Lex always has a plan. Because when he doesn't have a plan, it's got to be a big deal.
Yeah,
so
when he's ran out of plans.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that. So he finally looks at his assistant. Last thing he's going to say is, "Get ready to take me to Gotham. I need to meet with somebody." Ooh, now we know where this is going. So, we can go back now. We can slow this down. We can really talk more about Lois and Superman working through the emotions of he didn't really want to just kill some human being with his bare hands. We can go with Alfred and having him investigating this scene, and then Batman says, "This stuff is kryptonite." And, it looks like this is the kind of thing that Kryptonians are weak to. And we, have them start doing this investigation, to which Batman can start saying, "I think I can use this to get control of a situation." And Alfred's like, "Are you going to get control, or are you going to go too far?" We can start exploring these gamut emotions of, and Alfred can start reminding him, "You watched hundreds of your employees die that day. Are you going to just warn him, or are you going to go all the way?"
Yeah, so Batman, thinks he's a completely rational person.
Yeah.
And Alfred's like, "I don't think you are, and I think you should be aware of that."
Which offers really interesting. And I think they had a little bit of that dynamic in the movie with Jeremy Irons, Alfred. But I really would want to showcase that.
As opposed to being like a complete, psychopath ready to kill everything. It's like, no, I'm still the normal Batman. Everybody loves and gonna like it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not the one who's yelling.
Yeah. So we get Lex into Gotham, and I think here's the fun part. We need to have a scene where Lex is waiting in a room, and they're just waiting for something to happen, and we have some silence for a while. After a while, Lex breaks silence, and he's like, "You know what? I know you're around here somewhere. Don't worry. You know I couldn't beat you anyway. You can just show yourself." And Batman appears out of nowhere, because that's Batman. And so Batman was just sitting there eyeing the whole thing. But Lex knew that, and Lex knew that Batman wouldn't do anything to him, so he makes sure that nobody has anything. He's being as innocent as he can possibly be. And so Lex mentions that, Lex mentions that Batman couldn't beat him. Batman kind of makes a little mark of, "Okay, you obviously set this up. Lex saw off of, tripped an alarm or something that would notify."
Well, I mean, even if it wasn't that, Batman probably could have started the conversation and Lex just not react because he just is always in control.
Yeah. And so, Batman's going to be kind of like, "All right, what's the point?" And Lex going to be like, "Well, something went missing, and it's weird. I don't have any evidence of whatsoever, but it's kind of strange. It's like some invisible person stole this stuff," and Batman's just going to kind of give him a dirty look or not say anything, to which I says, "It's no worry."
Just has straight Batman face.
Yeah, "It's no worry. I'm sure you'd make better use of it than I would anyway." And Batman's like, "All right, what are you talking about?" He might not say that, but he'll have an obvious, "I don't know what to say," or I choose not to say anything. Lex says, "We both know that there's somebody who, out of control, would put this entire world in danger." Okay, now Batman's listening. Lex says, "I know that everyone thinks he's a hero, but he will stop at nothing to get what he wants." And all of a sudden, that video that Lex has comes really key, and he shows Batman, here's a Superman who just totally kills somebody to get what he wants. And so Lex, in the meantime, tries to explain that, what you have might be very valuable if in the right hands, to which, after a while, Lex realizes he's just talking to himself, and Batman has just disappeared. So we realize now that Batman has seen Superman kill a person with his bare hands. Batman already doesn't like Superman. Lex feels like he's got everything playing right in the palm of his hands. So now we have Batman v Superman coming. We got a good reason for Batman to think, all right, this guy is dangerous. He needs to be stopped. He kills people. We've got the right guy instigating and playing both parties. So now Batman plays his play. Of course, the first thing he would do is he would just go stop some crime. And he would leave a message for Superman that only Superman would get when he got to the scene and realized that Batman was in Metropolis and that Batman's going to meet him somewhere, someplace. And Superman's going to have...
My brain just said something really irrational, like arranged a whole bunch of unconscious bodies. It was like, only Superman's gonna see that from the sky.
That would take the dark and gritty.
But that's too much.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be hilarious.
So they get this thing set up. And so I think we can follow with some more scenes. Alfred, are you really ready to go all the way? So Batman replies, is it really murder if it's an alien? And we're going to start seeing more of that anger coming out. Like, Batman's had enough of him. He's seen him kill. Does murder really apply to somebody who isn't even from this planet? And, it's like, oh man, Batman's going to kill somebody.
Yeah, right now, Batman's sort of, I guess, on more of a... it's like, I hunt smart animals. I eat steak.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's like just it's the same thing on, I guess, either side. Is that Batman's trying to justify killing, and Superman was kind of trying to justify collateral damage.
Yeah,
and
here's what we're doing when we're doing this. Here's the key that gives us something dark and gritty to relate to, while it still makes sense, because all of us justify our wrongdoings at one point or another. That's where, it's not that we relate to Batman because, he just totally blows up terrorists and that was fun. That's weird. That doesn't make sense. It's not that, Superman just crashes through buildings, but hey, it wasn't as many people as what Star Wars blew up, so that's fine. No, it's the fact that we all have to have a reason to explain why we want to do the things we do or justify it. And if we're trying to do the right thing,
even the bad guys think they're good guys.
Even the bad, justified. Yeah. The only bad guy who really doesn't think he's a good guy is the Joker, because he just flat out doesn't care.
Yeah. And he does it for the lulz.
Yeah, exactly. he doesn't even he just goes to that farthest extreme. But so we are showing that these two men now are willing to justify to get to accomplish the things they're doing, and now we're relating to our characters because we have good reason. Because what if we lost everybody? So Superman, of course, is going to be angry, but he thinks that he's taking his protection of the innocent too far, and Superman's going to start really latching on to this judge, jury, executioner, because he's going to see the Batman as this guy who doesn't have any control or any restraint, and he's going to start bringing himself up to this level of, well, if I'm not going to be a judge, jury, or executioner when I'm trying to save people, then Batman certainly shouldn't either. And now these two are really ready to go head to head. So they go, now we have Batman v Superman. Now from what I've understood, the fight between these two was pretty awesome. Feel like we could have that, and maybe even be slightly better. Like, I don't know that I want to see, though, Superman have his punch blocked and be surprised because he was weakened by kryptonite. I kind of want to see Superman be surprised when Batman's suit almost holds up to his own strength. He's like, what? This guy's doing way more than I thought he could do.
I'd rather it be like, they're like Superman's trying to, get a punch on him, but Batman actually surprise punches him into the ground. And it's all like, what? No.
Yeah.
It's like,
this guy...
I stopped bullets. How does this guy punch me into the ground?
Yeah, exactly. Like, we need to see some surprise before the kryptonite's involved. But, we can have this really good... We have this really good fight scene and everything good. We can still have the kryptonite spear. I don't think that's the worst thing about this. And, Batman...
We don't have green arrows.
Yeah. So spear, that's fine. We don't want too many characters in here. You're going to notice a surprising lack of Wonder Woman. Not because I don't love the idea of Wonder Woman in and of herself, especially with finding out more details about the actress who they casted. It's like, what? This is Israel Special Forces? Wow, they really picked a good casting.
It'd be fine if it was more like a cameo, maybe some introductions in the background of Diana Prince or something like that.
We'll get back to that.
Not a big deal.
But she's not going to be involved in any fight scenes. And I know that might be a like, what? But I feel like it's a little too much, and I don't feel like we can do her justice by just cameoing her in a, she just shows up out of nowhere with Doomsday. I don't feel like that does her character justice. But hey, whatever. So they fight. Batman's ready to plunge the spear. And here's where we get the big difference. Batman, just at a moment of anger and rage, he's about ready to throws the spear away and says, no, I can't do this. And here's where I think we can really bring it in together. Batman says, I can't be a judge, jury, and an executioner. Now, Superman is still recovering, but at the same time, he's like, what did this guy just say?
Yeah, he's like, because I was just dealing with the same thing.
I was dealing with the same thing. And so Superman's like, how do you say that? I mean, I thought you wanted to be that. And Batman's like, no. And it's like, Superman's like, I can't do that too, but then I just killed this guy. And Batman's like, what? You killed the guy on accident? And like, yeah. I thought he was going to kill Lois. I thought he was going to kill me. Had something that weakened me. It's, and I gave it everything I got, and, but it was obviously more than enough, but I don't want to do that. And I feel like at this point we can have Batman saying, well, your problem is that you're not training. You don't have anybody who can train you with powers. You're undisciplined. You're uncontrolled. But I know how to discipline. I know how to control. I know that while you're a superhuman being, I know how to train. And all of a sudden we're like getting this idea of, a Justice League. It's not just a bunch of people getting together. It's like an actual structure. It's an actual organization. It's an actual growth for this team. And so it's like, now we're starting to get to a brighter side of this incredibly dark, everything's been terrible up to this point. So all at once, now we have a reason for them to actually be kind of friends. They're not going to be best buds overnight, though, because while they might have found some common ground, they still can have some very stark differences. So we're just starting to, though, at least not want to kill each other. And that's great. The problem is that Lex is not going to be happy about this. And here's the key about Lex Luthor is that whenever something's going down, he's going to be observing it somehow. And he sees that this guy did not kill.
Yeah, he'll have feet on the ground
or drones or something. You can get creative with that. But thing is he's going to have something. This is the first time we're going to start seeing Lex losing it. Now he's getting angry. He has tried to kill this man. He's tried to discredit him. He's had twice people fail when it should have obviously been. And Batman did the one thing he didn't expect, which is didn't finish the job. He thought he had Batman right under his control. He thought he had totally manipulated that situation, but he underestimated who Batman was. To which now he's like, that's it. I'm putting things in my own hand. So I don't know if it's like if we want him to go to this facility or just make a call. But now we're going to finally see into this facility that Lois was talking about. And we're going to find out that Luthor was getting into the computers and finding out that the Kryptonian science had a super weapon called the Doomsday Project, that all it requires is some Kryptonian DNA, and with the proper engineering you can make a living, breathing weapon that is virtually unstoppable. Lex Luthor, the whole time, has been trying to create this weapon, and if he could find a way to get rid of Superman, he would have the most powerful weapon and could control everything on Earth, basically.
In a Young Justice kind of way, it's like, I want a replacement for Superman. If he dies or gets out of control, I want that, and it needs to be under my authority.
The problem is he's angry now, so he comes to his scientist and he's like, I want the Doomsday activated now. Scientists say, well, this is probably a bad idea. You don't know for sure that you can control them yet. We're still working out the bugs. This might not be a good idea. Lex says, screw you guys, you do what I say. They say, okay, yeah, we do what Lex says, because people are afraid of Lex still. And so they activate Doomsday, and oh no, surprise! Doomsday is not under Lex's control, which means that now we have a giant killing machine that's going to do nothing but kill. It's all it wants to do, because it has no motivation and no control. And so now we have Doomsday. So Lex, of course, realizes, oops, I screwed up, but in typical Lex fashion, he gets out of Dodge. And
so like, oh, that's unfortunate. Steps in a helicopter.
But, one nuclear blast from a Doomsday that basically, or nuclear temper tantrum or whatever, blows up an entire science facility. That facility's gone. So now we have no real evidence to track back to Lex either, which is convenient for him, as always. Lex gets a little lucky.
Like everything works out.
Yeah. But now all of a sudden Superman realizes something just happened. So Batman, Superman head over together, like, well, let's look into it. And Batman's like, I'm coming along. Superman's like, you don't have to. Batman's like, whatever.
He's like, you want me to carry you? Do not carry me.
Yeah. If you touch me, I will punch you again. So they get over and they see us Doomsday, and Superman quickly realizes this thing is Kryptonian in nature. And Batman's like, I bet kryptonite would weaken it. And Superman's like, I can't touch that stuff. Why don't you go? What? You go get the kryptonite spear. I know you won't be as fast as I would, but you'll be a lot faster coming back than I would. So, so Batman's like, okay.
I'm going to hold him here. Or actually,
so Batman's going to give him the first
here.
bit of advice. He says, get him out of the city. You can fly, find a field, I will find you.
Yeah. So Superman may not rationally be like, I'll hold him here. And Batman's like, no, get him out of the city.
And so for the first time, Batman's helping Superman think. You don't just punch the guy through a building. You get him to like a field or something and punch him into the dirt. So... okay, we got Superman Doomsday fighting. Now we get to see this awesome fight, mostly between Doomsday and Superman. Superman is going to get the crap kicked out of him because it's Doomsday, and that's what Doomsday does. Yeah. And so what we're going to figure out is that basically this is a super weapon that is meant to take out just about anyone or anything. So it's going to kick the crap out of Superman. And Superman's going to be really messed up by the time Batman shows up. But Batman still has his power suit. So Batman...
sorry. You know, I think would be interesting is if Batman sort of gave him like sort of a team speak sort of thing. He's like, here, use this. And like, you know, gives him like a ear thing. So they can at least communicate while he's in the middle of a fight and he's out going elsewhere.
You know...
because Batman has those technologies on him.
And here, it would not be a terrible idea to have just the slightest bit of humor just to help lighten the mood at some point. Where Superman say, what? You carry these all the time? Yeah, I'm always prepared. You know, just...
yeah, it's all like, what situation were you going to have?
What situation might I have had? You know, whatever. So Batman shows up, and Superman bows out because he's obviously gotten the crap kicked out of him, and Kryptonite's not good. So Superman's thinking, okay, well, Batman's got the suit. He took care of me pretty well. And Superman and Batman starts saying, okay... here's the problem, though. Doomsday is a genetically modified weapon, so while he's still weak to kryptonite, he's not as weak as what Superman gets. And so Batman's finding out, okay, I can't get this thing to go through. This guy is too fast. He's blocking my attacks, and we're kind of stalemating, except he doesn't ever seem to slow down, and I will because I'm a human being.
Yeah, I mean, in the Batman fashion, he's like, Superman might be saying, it's like, it's too tough, I'm not going to be able to hold him, you need to like, stab him with that spear. And Batman be like, there's no way I'm going to get close enough to stab that thing. You need to get yourself up and distract that thing so I can get close enough.
So, I think it'll come, what I'd like to see happen is it comes down to, after all of that, it comes down to Superman gets hold of Doomsday and just holds him in place so Batman can plunge that spear right into Doomsday's chest.
And I just want him to, like, just airdrop out of, like, the Batwing with, like, a spear just coming straight down.
That would be cool. So Superman just is trying to hold him in place for Batman to get the spear in. So Batman does. Doomsday quickly is just realizing, okay, well, that's it for me, but he doesn't care about anything but death and trying to take as much as he can with him. So Superman's, like, got a hold of Doomsday from behind. Superman takes that spear, just plunges it, like, he knocks Batman away with the spear in his chest. Then he just takes a hand, takes the end of the spear, just plunges all the way through him, killing Superman behind him. And just, you know, in a complete act of defiance, well, I will take something with me. Doomsday kills Superman. Now, oh my goodness, Superman just died. But now we don't have to have Superman just being utterly retarded and just, you know, I can handle this kryptonite spear when I got Wonder Woman right here. No.
A little bit of logic, but...
So, you know, that, I think we get that kind of ending. Now we can have the funeral. We can have this, oh wow, this went really bad. And so we get done with the funeral, we get done with all that stuff, and finally we're going to just have Batman and Alfred kind of having a final conversation. Lex, of course, is exonerated because somehow he survived all this and he's back to just being
He's
himself.
doing his float prom wave, Miss America, you know, doing his political speeches. And it's like,
talking about how much we're going to miss the Superman, and he at least saved us in his last act. Well, he's just glad that, well, he's gone.
Yeah.
And so Batman and Alfred will have our final exchange, and maybe down Batcave, and Alfred says, so it's a good thing you guys saved the Earth, but this thing barely...
If this happens again, you know.
If this happens again, you don't have your largest weapon, and And how are you going to do this? Like, we are just this close to the whole world being obliterated, and we've got nothing left. We have our biggest hitter out. And Batman's like, you know what? I think it's time I might make a few contacts. And he pulls up a file.
Batcave, it's just like, it's almost, I wouldn't say like the same thing, but kind of like how in like Avengers when Tony Stark's bringing up like all the different superheroes, basically same thing. Like Batman just boots up Batcave thing, and it is just video of like all the different heroes around the world.
Things that he's gotten footage of and kept secret because he's
Batman.
He's like, you know what, these people haven't done anything wrong, and I'm not going to ruin their identity, but I totally know about him.
He knows about everything.
And now we have a dawn of justice. And then, you know what, we know Superman can't really die if we're going to have a Justice League movie, so we can have like a post-credits scene that shows, really we could just show Superman just coming out of the grave like, what the heck? Or, you know.
Like, we don't have to do just like a bump in the dirt. You could just like, he's Superman. You could just burst out of the whole thing and just...
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, well, obviously he's going to be fine because... once the Kryptonite Spear is removed, Superman, if Kryptonite's removed, he usually heals. That's just the way it works. And obviously that's the way they did it in Batman v Superman. Nor we don't have to pretend like it's some kind of little...
Yeah.
Because we
Nothing
just don't
special.
need to. Yeah, we might as well be pretty straightforward. So I think, honestly, I mean, hey, I love to hear comments and suggestions, but personally, I'm like, that's kind of what I would say if I thought Batman v Superman was going to actually be good. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Sorry I nixed Wonder Woman, but she's gonna be fine.
She's still gonna get her own movie. It's fine.
And
I'm not gonna worry about it.
Also, another thing is we finally end on Batman. Happy he's Batman again too.
Yeah.
Because he never was Bruce Wayne. He was always Batman.
Yeah. Batman's Bruce Wayne has never been Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne has only ever been Batman.
That being said, I am excited about. I'm hoping a Ben Affleck directed Batfleck movie is going to be awesome. I really like the Bruce Wayne and Batman that Ben Affleck was, just from previews and everything I've heard. I'm not seeing that anybody else was disappointed with Batfleck, which is like the biggest surprise. We're like, what?
Anyway.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. I guess I'm the Hardware Hound.
This is Wedge.
And we'll catch you next time.